Well, the new motor's arrived. Never heard of Universal Motors. From Portugal. Anyway. Set up. It arrived set up in Star. I'll swap the links over. Set them up in Delta and made sure they're all tight. Interestingly, that one wasn't underneath. The retaining nut was, well, finger tight at best, so I've nipped them all up. Next job's to bring in the cable and set that up. So that's connected up. Earth leads on, and the 3 incoming feeds from the inverter. And as I understand it, we swap any 2 of these around to change the direction of the motor. I've took off the crappy bloody plastic grommet, the entry grommet, and replaced it with the brass one that I had. I always find the plastic ones seem to break in half. Anyway, so we'll plug the plug into the inverter and see if we can fire it up. So that's the inverter. There's my black cable, motor's on the floor. 16 hertz. $25. After about 50. That's 80. A little bit more noise off it than the ABB motors I used in the past. But it's working. And the inverter's not tripped. Well, the RCD's not tripped on this consumer board. So the next job's fit the cover, fit the base plate, fit it back on the shaper. It's got a gasket, so that's not going to be a bad thing. We'll fit that on. And screw that base plate on, or partially, and that fits on the shaper. And then we've got to have a bit of a clear up, because we've got crap everywhere. Well, the motor's mounted on the back of the shaper. Pulleys are lined up, you can't really tell from here. The only problem is, even though the shaft is the same length as the other motor that came off, because of the size of that pulley, the depth of it that way, the shaft certainly isn't all the way through. It's about 1 inch, which means that that pulley, when the belt's on the slowest speed on that one, the pulley isn't actually over the shaft. Even though you crank down on the it's a nice fit, perhaps a little bit easy on between the pulley and the shaft. They're both 19mm. But what I found when I set it up on the higher speed is it clonks, which would suggest that that is rocking. It's alright now, but it means I'm running at base speed of 67 strokes a minute, which in all fairness is probably pretty much where I run it anyway, using the inverter. So just got to shove it all back into space now. The clearance between the motor and the guard, and you can't really tell, that you look about, it's about a, I don't know, quarter of an inch, 6mm. So even if I made a new subplate and shifted the motor that way, I'm not sure it's going to give me anything, because as I say, the shaft is a good inch shy of coming through. So the other way would be to make a new pulley with a slightly tighter fit, and in the process of doing that, move the keyway, move the hole for the grub screw further that way. But in all fairness, I think I've only changed these pulleys once in various hours that I've run it. It's got a second gear here, so it'll run at 67 or 122. On the slower pulley it's 46 or 85, and the 46 to 85 is quite a nice range, but I can get that just from 67 plus or minus 20 hertz. Yeah, nothing's ever straightforward. So the new motor's on, we're back up and running. A lot more noise out of the motor though. Still relatively quiet, but it just seems a lot noisier motor. The electrical noise rather than, it's not bearings and all, it's just electrical. It's running at 50 hertz. 67 strokes a minute.